Yipee-Ki-Yay, Mr. Falcon.
This is a laundry list episode, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I have to sell you. I feel like I'm getting up here to give a book report or something.
And I don't want this to feel like work, but yeah, I mean, here's the thing.
What?
You suggest these movies that I don't necessarily. It's not like you necessarily
By the dozens.
have to
By the dozens.
right. It's not like you necessarily have to convince me to watch them. I want to watch them all. The problem is, like, I don't know what to put at the front of the queue, and the line's getting long. Yeah, I need some organizational help here, and that's
Well, I have a little help on this one, right? Because your wife's is kind of interested in seeing this movie.
yeah. When she found out that this was on the list, she's like, "Oh, I want to watch that," and it's okay.
So I'm like done here. You know, I don't really even have to. I mean, you're gonna watch this movie then, so I don't even have to fucking do. What are we doing here? No. All right. Good. Do you guys like? Do you guys like cop movies? Do you watch like buddy cop movies and shit?
Well,
Is she into that?
No, no, I don't. Oh God, I can't remember the last time the two of us watched anything that could be described as a buddy cop movie. I mean, I've seen.
Well, True Detective.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. A long, dour, grody 8-hour buddy cop movie, and they only
Hey man,
become
the new season was
buddies at
only
the
6.
end.
The new season was only 6, and man, they are buddies.
Yeah.
in that.
They bro out super hard.
It was a great chemistry that they had. So I've been thinking about this because I had to do this, and I broke down buddy cop movies into some buckets, as you like to say.
I love buckets.
Buckets, baby. Buddy cop genre. There's a lot of what you could call buddy cop movies out there, and then like a lot of buddy cop TV shows.
Oh
And
yeah.
So like there's a lot of movies that have two cops or two federal agents or whatever, because they typically come in partners, right? So that doesn't really count necessarily. So I think a buddy cop movie means that like the relationship between the characters is at least central to the plot in some way.
Okay.
All right. And buddy cop movies also come in the form of comedies a lot.
There's a lot of them.
I think there might be as many comedies as there are straight ones. So even so, they usually fall into 3 categories, right?
Okay. I never thought
like
I would hear such an in-depth analysis of the buddy
This
cop
is a
genre,
fucking
but
thesis.
I can't wait.
All right. Someone could steal this and write a good paper on it for college. So the first setup is like you have 2 cops usually, or 2 agents or whatever it is, of different ages and or backgrounds or religions or nationalities or whatever the fuck it is. They usually don't like each other at first.
At first.
They're like reluctantly paired together either by their yelling, screaming captain or by circumstance, right? Mm-hmm. And they must find a way to work together through their differences to catch the bad guy. And usually one of them has a personal stake in it.
All right. So based on that description, I mean, like Rush Hour comes to mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
Rush Hour, Red Heat,
the other
even
guys.
Lethal Weapon. Yeah, the other guys. Yeah, definitely. God, I love that movie. Lethal Weapon in my head is like the template for a buddy cop movie.
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Lethal Weapon's great.
You know, there were movies before it for sure that you could call buddy cop movies, but that's the one I think that
That one stands
all are
tall.
measured against. So then there's another type, right, where the 2 cops are already partners or work together at the beginning of the story. And usually they have some kind of relationship already, whether it's mentor and protege or cops who came up together or longtime partners, whatever. And a relationship goes the other way. By the end of the movie, they've learned things about each other. There's a shift in the dynamic, and usually they become adversaries, right?
Okay.
This is a little less common. You don't see this one as much,
Like, what's an example?
but you do. A good example of that is that movie that Pacino and De Niro did together, Righteous Kill.
Righteous Kill. Yo, can I say something? I hated both of those movies. Righteous Kill and 15 Minutes.
Yeah, they were not good.
Dude,
I'm not saying they were good.
They
were not good.
Righteous Kill was lauded as like the first time Pacino and De Niro have shared the screen since Heat, and you're like, okay, that automatically puts an expectation on it. And then I watched it, I was like, this movie's trash.
You know what another movie is that does this well? That's a good movie, although we've classified it as a serial killer movie. Insomnia.
Who's the partner in that?
Oh, the guy from Weeds. He's only in it in the very beginning because he gets killed.
Oh, thanks, Dave.
Right, he's the one who.
Jeez.
Well, you've seen it.
I know.
It's old as balls.
This is a great movie.
It's from 2002. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah, in The Fog in the beginning. He's played by Martin Donovan.
Right.
I mean, he's a character actor. You know his face. He's one of those guys.
He's got one of them faces.
One of them fucking white guy faces, you know? But yeah, there's tension when they first show up in Alaska, and then like he ends up killing him. But also, Hilary Swank's character really looks up to Pacino's Will Dormer. She like follows the cases he solved in L.A. and shit, right? Mm-hmm. As an FBI agent. So she's kind of that protege type of thing going on in the beginning, and then she keeps discovering bits and pieces about him and his sordidness, and that kind of shifts by the end. But whatever. Anyway, and the third type, a buddy cop movie, is one where a cop is paired with a non-cop, an unlikely non-cop character.
Okay.
To create like an odd couple scenario, you know? And then it basically follows the same structure as the first one.
Oh man, I'm thinking like.
Well, I mean, Christ, they did it with dogs. You remember K9 with Belushi?
Turner and Hooch.
Turner and Hooch is the other one. There's another one. Yeah. Let me see here. Who else did that? Hey, here's one for you. Here's a question before we get into this. L.A. Confidential. Would you call that a buddy cop movie? I know you like that movie.
Number one, I love that movie. It's like in my top 10, but I don't know that it's a buddy cop movie because
how I just defined it, right? Like if the relationships between those cops,
dude, it fits.
It's pretty central.
It fits the description of bucket number 2. It really does. Like
and Bud White and Exley.
Yo.
Like you could look at it as those two characters. And Vincennes on his own, he's like a side quest.
Yeah.
But
Bud White, Russell Crowe, explodes off the screen in that movie.
He explodes off the screen.
He is a force of nature.
I love that movie,
dude, like
man.
that Russell Crowe that's my favorite Russell Crowe moment is when in that movie when he's watching the interrogation and Exley's doing all his like underhanded shit and he snaps the back off the chair and oh my
he's just been gripping it so hard the whole time it just snaps his hands.
And at the end
no, he was awesome in that.
Yeah, they're like the ultimate cop team. Yeah, I think I would have put that firmly in like a neo-noir film, even though it's just I thought it was like a straight up noir detective film. But when you categorize it it fits the description of bucket 2 of the buddy cop genre.
I watch it at Christmas a lot.
It's a great movie.
It starts at Christmas.
It sure does.
A good example of that third type, cop paired with a non-cop, is if you ever seen the 48 Hours movies with Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy, That's a good example, right? Eddie
That is
Murphy's
a
not
good
a cop;
example.
he's a convict and whatnot. Man, Hot Fuzz is a great buddy cop movie.
God, Hot Fuzz is fucking hilarious. I love that
Die
movie.
Hard with a Vengeance. There you go. Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Oh, yeah. He's what, a cab driver or something?
No, he owns an electronics store in the beginning.
Oh,
Samuel
that's right.
Jackson. Zeus. Why you keep calling me Jesus? I look Puerto Rican to you. I saw that movie, Die Hard with a Vengeance, in the theater. That was like one of the first movies I ever went with just a buddy to see. God, we were little when that came out.
Yeah.
And we saw it in a theater called the Lumberton 2.
Lumberton 2.
Yeah, I think it was on Route 38. It was 2 fucking theaters in a strip mall.
The 2.
And I swear to God, there were crickets in the theater. Like, whenever the sound would go off, you'd hear crickets. And you could hear the sound from the other movie in the other theater through the fucking wall.
That's really funny.
But I love that movie. That was the first Die Hard that I ever saw in the theater.
Yippee-Ki-Yay, Mr. Falcon.
That's right, God damn it. I don't think he says that in that one.
No.
He didn't get to say his trade. You know, there's an alternate ending to that movie. Check that out sometime on YouTube.
Okay.
That movie almost ended with a real downer. But the movie we're talking about today is called End of Watch. From 2012, director and writer David Ayer, starring Jake Gyllenhaal as Brian Taylor and Michael Peña as Mike Zavala. They call him Z. This movie is one I'm recommending to you because it doesn't actually fall into any of those buckets.
Okay, dude. I'm going to be honest. I know nothing of this movie other than Brie liked it. And
So she's seen it.
she's seen it. And
Okay.
she liked it. And she's like, wait, you got to watch that? I was like, I mean, well, there's a pitch coming. We'll see. She's like, no, we're going to watch that. So, I mean,
All right.
I guess it's happening, but not to make this like a moot point, but I have a pile of stuff I'm supposed to watch, and the question is why this one and why now? Like, why does it need to get pushed to the front of the line? Because I had no interest in it at all. It was before I kind of discovered Jake Gyllenhaal, and I was like, it just seems like one of another long line of cop movies. There's thousands of cop movies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this one is actually different, though. For as many of this subgenres there are, and as repetitive as they can get, and as full of tropes as they are, this one is creative in enough different ways that it sidesteps all that shit.
Huh. Okay.
Like I'm saying, it doesn't fit into any of those buckets we just talked about, because when we meet the 2 main characters, they're already partners. And they've been partners, and they went to the academy together, but their relationship never changes. That's actually the static thing through the story, is their relationship.
So it's 21 Jump Street.
No.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No. I'm not a... Did you see that movie? The one with Channing Tatum?
I did.
And was it's not Seth
Jonah
Rogen,
Hill.
the other one. Thank you. Yeah. It was all right.
It was funny.
It was all right. It was okay. It was okay.
It could
End of Watch.
End of Watch.
End of Watch is... Okay, so you've discovered Jake Gyllenhaal and that he's actually like an actor.
Yeah, man. Like,
Yeah.
I saw him in Donnie Darko, and I loved Donnie Darko. And then, like,
Yeah, we were in high school when that came out,
yeah.
right?
And then I kind of, like, started to hate Jake Gyllenhaal, but for no reason in particular. I guess for, like, the same reason that I didn't like some other, like, heartthrob actors. I don't know. Maybe it was...
Well,
maybe I was jealous.
We recently...
Who knows?
Maybe. No, he was pretty.
Pretty
and
boy.
a lot of women liked him because of Donnie Darko, especially a lot of the girls we kind of circled with, right?
Yeah.
But no, he kind of did the thing. You know, you talked about the reconnaissance for Matthew McConaughey, and we talked about how he had that stint in his career where he just kind of did rom-coms because they were paying him to do rom-coms. and he made money doing it. Mm-hmm. And Gyllenhaal kind of did the same thing until he got to like, and then but in there somewhere he made Brokeback Mountain and won an Oscar, or the movie did anyway.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
That actually is. It took me a long time to see it because it was so popular, which is usually the case. And I have no. Something being an Oscar frontrunner does nothing to me. I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Especially
the Oscars
now.
are coming up this. Yeah, they're coming up this summer, this Sunday. I mean, the Oscars, and I'm not gonna watch them. The last time I watched them was when Stallone was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Creed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, so I thought they were going to give him the statue and make up for not giving him one for the original Rocky. I'm like, that's a cool bookend for your career, all those years apart, right? And I don't even remember who they gave it to. Some fucking
Doesn't
shit.
matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't
And
matter.
I remember
You didn't get it.
I turned it off, and I have not watched them since. And before that, I remember I hadn't watched them since Franco and Anne Hathaway hosted it. If you remember this, those two hosted it one time, and my wife and I don't know, I guess we were stoned or something when we watched it because we thought it was one of the funniest Oscars ever, man. Like, we thought they were being like intentionally awkward and that it was just a little off kilter and goofy. And then the next day, everyone was like, it was the worst Oscars ever. They're fucking horrible. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, all right. I guess we're not Oscar people anymore.
Yeah. Well, hindsight's 2020. Remember the year that no one hosted?
No.
They had a year where just nobody hosted.
No one? They just had
no one
parade of presenters and a voice?
I think it might have been the year that like Kevin Hart was supposed to do it.
Oh, and he dipped at the last minute because he got canceled or something?
Kevin Hart, who, and Dave Chappelle does like a whole bit on this. He's like, he was like,
oh, right. Yeah, that's why I know about it.
It was his dream to host the Oscars. And he's like, I don't know who fucking has that dream. But Kevin Hart did, and they came after him, and he bowed out, and no one hosted, and it sucked. And it's like, was the Oscars better for not having had Kevin Hart do his thing? I don't know. That's besides the point.
I mean, he could have gotten slapped by Will Smith. That could have happened.
That's true.
I am a little annoyed that I didn't see that live, but it was almost better learning about that afterward.
Yes, I agree. I opened like a news site and saw that and was like, "Oh my, what did I miss?"
Wait, hold up.
This is the greatest
Jerry
night
Springer's
in the history of television.
So, how do you feel about what do you call them? Found footage movies, I guess.
Oh boy, my experience with them is limited. I've seen Blair Witch Project, which I really liked. I saw Paranormal Activity, which I think would have been. It was okay. I would have liked it a lot more if the main character's name wasn't something stupid that had to get repeated 10,000 times. Remember the main character's name?
No,
The
not off the top
guy.
of my head.
His name was Mika.
It's been a bit. Mika?
Yeah, and
Mika.
The problem with being named Mika in a scary movie like that is your girlfriend has to go, Mika, 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 10,000 times. I almost threw the remote through the TV because if I have to hear Mika shouted in a shrill voice one more time, I'm going to lose my mind. And then I saw, Cloverfield was cool. That's found footage.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's an oldie. That's one of the early ones.
And, oh, God, Creep. You ever see Creep?
Yeah, with the dude from The League, right?
Mark Duplass.
Yeah, Duplass.
It's
Mark
Peach
Duplass.
Fuzz. Peach Fuzz. Yeah, that was fucking bizarre.
Okay.
So yeah,
Well,
I guess
so-
I like that format, I suppose. It's been done well.
Yeah. There have been a lot of shitty ones, though, too. But I will say it's not really a found footage movie. It's like partly found footage movie, sort of. So they set up this little gimmick in the beginning that Brian, one of the main characters, is taking college courses at night school, and one of the electives he has to take is film. So he has to make some kind of a, I don't know, rudimentary student film. So he's documenting his
So
days.
he's going to make a
job.
buddy cop movie.
No, he's just documenting his
I know, I'm kidding.
life as a cop, right? And just poorly. But it's an excuse for a camera to be there and an excuse for certain shots to be included.
Okay.
But it's not like the movie is compiled of only shots possible with that camera. Does that make sense? Like,
right.
The whole thing is done like a docudrama style. There's a lot of handheld. There's a lot of like weirdly positioned static camera shots and stuff.
It's not solely from his student film. There's other like narrow, like omnipotent cameras, but there's also his student camera.
But they all mesh together. It's not like dramatically like, oh, it's his camera. Now it's a real camera, you know?
Got it.
It all kind of visually flows together in terms of quality and everything like that. So the footage being shot within the movie is kind of peppered throughout.
Okay.
So my point is it watches like a feature film. And, you know, for whatever you think about his other stuff, David Ayer is a pretty talented director.
Well,
and
what else has David Ayer done? Just like the highlights.
The highlights? All right. Well, director or writer?
Oh, I don't know. Anything.
Well, the most famous thing he's done is he wrote Training Day.
Oh God, yeah, Training Day was great.
Where he came from. So I mean, his writing career is a little bit more storied. Like he also wrote the original Fast and the Furious.
Did he do Dark Blue?
Yeah, he wrote Dark Blue.
And
yeah,
Harsh Times.
Yeah, he directed that as well. He directed Harsh Times.
I'd seen Training Day, and you recommended the trilogy, and I was like, "What trilogy? What are you talking about?" And you rounded out by Dark Blue and Harsh Times. They were both great. I really liked Dark Blue.
Dark Blue with Kurt Russell's an incredible movie. It's if you haven't, it's a great cop movie. Definitely not a buddy cop movie, but it's a great cop movie, and it's set right in like the days leading up to the Rodney King riots in Los Angeles in the 90s, and it's all about deep, dark police corruption, as the title indicates, and Scott Speedman's in it as the young, naive, protege. Yeah. Maybe it is a buddy cop movie. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like a buddy cop movie.
Great movie, great ending.
And it's got Kurt Russell.
Fucking dark. Yeah, Kurt Russell was fucking awesome in it. Just an alcoholic, miserable, fucking burnout, corrupt cop who sees the light. It's great. David Ayer also directed, he didn't write it, but he directed a movie called Street Kings with Keanu Reeves and Forrest Whitaker. It's another corrupt cop, kind of very of that flavor kind of. I was kind of surprised that he hadn't actually written it. But he also directed Fury, the World War II tank movie.
Oh, that was him too?
Mm-hmm. With Brad Pitt.
Man, I said
all that. He wrote.
I said just the highlights. That. I didn't know there were so many.
Yeah, he produced that. He wrote that. And more recently, he's kind of famous for that goddamn Suicide Squad movie. The one from 2016. I don't know. I don't watch that shit. I know there were like two of them. They were both called the same thing, whatever. Oddly enough, IMDb, I looked him up today. It says he's working on directing a remake of The Dirty Dozen.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, and I clicked on it, and I'm like, hey, it's just, they're just calling it that. No. The description, there's no date on it. It says pre-production. It doesn't even have a year. And the description is a U.S. Army major is assigned to lead a squad of 12 condemned soldier prisoners on a dangerous mission behind enemy lines in World War II.
Yeah, it's a Dirty Dozen, all right.
Whatever. But yeah, that's his. He's done some cool shit. So in his hands, this subgenre with the found footage and all, he really made it work well. And he finds a number of excuses for there to be cameras in the story without it being hokey.
Okay.
And you know what the funny thing is? Like, this movie's already over a decade old. Watching it now, it seems even more natural than it did before because we're so used to seeing police body cam footage now.
I was gonna ask you that if this predated or
Yeah.
it existed during the body cam age.
It predates body cams, but it doesn't predate dash cams in police cars.
Okay.
So there's some footage of that from those included, including the cold open. The cold open is all dash cam footage, and it's actually a pretty excellent car chase through the alleys of central LA. It's pretty neat.
Oh yeah. And if
But yeah,
if you don't know L.A., holy cow, L.A. is a labyrinth.
LA. LA. All I know about LA is from movies. And I guess that's appropriate. I think that's appropriate.
California.
So really what this movie is kind of like 4 months in the lives of two LAPD street cops who were best friends and spend more time sitting next to each other in a black and white than they do with anyone else doing anything else.
Yeah.
And here's the cool thing about it, right? It's very much a talking in a car movie. So, like True Detective, like a lot of cop movies, like a lot of road trip movies.
So policemen in cars getting coffee.
Kind of, but they're
Only
younger,
no Jerry
and it's
Seinfeld.
2012, so they drink a lot of Red Bull.
Yeah, okay.
But okay, so there's two ways to go about a movie like that, right? You write it like a traditional script, and you write something like True Detective Season 1, or The Highwayman, which was a feature, not a series. So, and then you rely on the actors to pull it off. Well, instead, Ayer wrote what you call like a loose script, and Gyllenhaal and Peña just kind of riffed and
Improv'd it?
most of it. Yeah, they spent months and months. Here, I pulled some interesting trivia for this movie.
I love trivia.
So we could speak intelligently about the stuff behind the scenes. As part of their training, both of them apparently spent 5 months doing 12-hour shift ride-alongs with LAPD officers.
5 months of ride-alongs?
Yeah.
Holy
Apparently,
shit.
Gyllenhaal witnessed a murder
What?
on his first ride-along. So says the trivia for this movie. So they really got the... I used to be a police reporter for a few years, and
Oh, that's right.
this movie really gets how cops talk in real life in different contexts. Like, it gets how they talk one-on-one. It gets how they talk in public, like among other cops in big groups, especially the leadership, how they speak, like the tempo and their word choice and all that shit.
The jargon.
And how they talk to the public. So it feels there's an authenticity to this movie that's really hard to manufacture. And like, I think the only thing that really takes you out of it is that there's such famous people playing these parts. But otherwise, it's very, very organic. And it feels like two guys who are really good friends breaking each other's balls all day. Like, it really feels like real conversations. And the overall product is really something kind of unique. I'm really surprised this movie doesn't get more love just for the acting, And also, here's a big bonus that I pulled out of the trivia. The word fuck is used 326 times in this movie.
Wow.
And that makes it 10th all time on the Hollywood movie profanity list.
10th?
Apparently.
That is high.
Apparently. That's high.
What's
so
first?
It's worth it. Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Yeah.
I think it might be at one point it was a comedy. I feel like I want to say Superbad.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, that kind of tracks. I wasn't prepared with that
Sorry,
information.
we can look that up later.
Okay.
But still, like of all the fuck words uttered in
And that
the movie,
just shows you how
10th on the list is really high.
That just shows you how naturally they're talking, because people say fuck a lot.
Yeah, man.
So like, I don't know, man. There's not much else I can really tell you about their relationship without giving the good stuff away.
Okay.
Like I said, them as partners and friends, they don't have much of an arc together, but Brian does. Jake Gyllenhaal's character does. When we meet him, he's a retired Marine, and
Okay.
him and Peña, him and his partner are about the same age, but whereas Brian went into the Marines after high school, you learn this through dialogue. He married his high school sweetheart and started working in his uncle's muffler shop, right? Mm-hmm. Until she got pregnant. I think that's how it goes. Until she got pregnant, and then he joined the academy so that he could, provide for a family. And that's when he met Brian and in the academy together, and then that was it.
Right.
Whereas Brian is single still and dating and still trying to figure out what the fuck he wants. And during the movie, he meets his fiance, who's played by Anna Kendrick, Janet, and they get married. And it's one of the most realistic wedding scenes, because it's like they use the wedding footage, and it's so fucking cheesy.
Oh, like the camcorder footage.
Yeah, dude, and it's so dorky that it feels like a real goddamn wedding, like a real middle class wedding. And I don't know, man. Like, again, the authenticity to all of it. And there's these really poignant moments that, because the rest of it's so authentic feeling, they don't come off as saccharine or weird. They feel, again, natural.
Grounded.
Yeah, totally grounded. Totally grounded. And one of my... there's an actor in it, too, that I think is really underrated, and I've seen him in shit for years and years. He was in the MCU movies.
Who?
Frank Grillo? Grillo? I don't even know how to say his name. Right? Frank Grillo. He used to be a fighter, I think.
He was a boxer,
when he was young.
think.
Yeah. And he shows up in some of the most random places, and I always like him. I can't help it. Like, he always has small parts, but he's always really, really good in them. He's played military dudes a lot. What? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think he played in the MCU. He was a guy, he was like hanging out with Steve Rogers. And then he wound up being a bad guy named Crossbones.
He's one of the guys in the elevator.
Yeah.
In the famous elevator scene. That's right. Yeah, and he comes back. He's the one that they're fighting when Scarlet Witch blows up that building.
Yeah, Crossbones.
Yeah, that's Crossbones. You see, I was there for Phase 1. I was all about Phase 1, man. And through the Avengers movies, and then that was it. That's where they lost me.
Yeah.
So I know all that shit up to there. But yeah, he was in that. He was in Warrior with Tom Hardy.
I never saw that.
You got to see that. I mean, we've talked about this before. That is, I shouldn't have to convince you to watch that. It's an excellent movie.
No, I hear a lot of good buzz about that. I'm gonna watch it.
But in this one, he plays the sergeant who's like, middle age. He's older than them, but he's still, in uniform on the street, a sergeant. But he's seen some shit, and he has a really great scene where he's at the wedding. He's talking to a bunch of young Marines, and he's pretty pissed drunk. And he fucking delivers. Like, if you think he just, he's just there to do stunts and like fight and stuff and act like a tough guy, he can actually act, man. He's fucking all right. So that's the setup. That's the dynamic there. So it's a lot of, but it's so funny. Like, there's just so, like, Michael Peña's a funny fucking dude.
Right.
Like, he's played some really serious roles. He was in Fury. He was in, he was the driver
God, I
of
always
the tank
forget
in Fury.
he's in Fury.
And he plays that role dead straight. I think that might be the most serious role I've ever seen him in. But if you look at his filmography, dude, he has been in so many movies and so many different roles. Like, Like, he's got a range, but they let him be just funny enough in this without being comical. And he has like this understated sarcasm that really plays. And you could definitely see a real cop being this way, especially when he's talking to authority in the public. So it's another level of authenticity.
Yeah, I mean, look,
I mean, there's a plot. There's a plot. Don't get me wrong. There's a whole, like, they get embroiled in some shit. They discover some shit.
They see some shit. Okay.
Stuff go, they get into it. Like, it's not just like vignettes and stuff. There's a plot. But what I'm trying to say is they're really, really well drawn characters. They're not cop stereotypes. They're not buddy cop stereotypes. Like, there are stereotypes in the movie, but and the supporting cast is really great. You got what is it, David Harbour?
Oh, Frankenstein's monster Frankenstein, David Harbour.
Yeah, or Hellboy,
Or
the failed Hellboy, whatever you want to call him, the Stranger Things guy.
Yeah, that guy.
I mean, and he's got a small part, but he's great. So that means that small part's great.
David Harbour he's all over the place.
Oh yeah, dude.
He's only kind of become recognizable recently with like Stranger Things, but he's been peppered all over like a bunch of little bit parts for years.
I was just gonna say, what you keep finding him from when he was younger in stuff like pre-Stranger Things that you didn't recognize him in because he was a character actor.
Yeah.
And he had a mustache. He looked different.
Yep.
In a lot of roles. He was a great character actor, but yeah, he's in it. America Ferrara, she's really cool. She's a cop in this, like a tough little Latina cop. She's great.
She's the voice of Astrid in the How to Train Your Dragon movies.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah,
Rad.
I know that because I have 2 kids that are nuts for those movies.
I know her from the Traveling Pants movie.
The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
That's right. It's magic. The pants fit them all.
Wow.
All right. Here's another thing. You have to watch Blue Mountain State now so that you can get that joke.
Blue Mountain State? I've never seen that one.
Your wife will hate it, but you will laugh your balls off.
All right. That'll be a true Laundry Day movie then.
All right. So I do have to issue a warning.
Oh, boy. Will I get triggered?
If this movie has like a weak spot, it might be the antagonists.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me guess. So that like it's a buddy cop movie. They get embroiled in some shit. So like, I'm gonna think, like I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they uncover some sort of drug ring. Crime.
It's mysterious.
Crime ring.
Yeah, they're like.
Are they Eastern European?
No.
Okay.
It's Mexican.
Okay.
It's L.A. It's Mexico.
Oh yeah. Okay.
There's they stumble into some cartel shit.
Okay, that's a problem.
And it gets thick, but there's an unseen antagonist in that. Like there's the shadowy cartel, but there's a group of gang members that work for the cartel essentially, who are the visible antagonists that you see, right? And they're, I guess how you'd say, cartoonish a little bit.
Is it like
maybe
MS-13 type shit, like full?
Yeah, like,
full
like South
tattoos.
Central fucking. No, not that hardcore. Like they're South Central natives. They're local, Latino gang members. I think they're called a Curbside Set. I don't know. From like they're fighting with the Bloods in the area. From what they let you know,
Okay.
They don't really go into it too deep, but like that's the criticism I've seen levied against this movie is that they're cartoonish almost to the point of being racist.
Oh, they're like not even people; they're just like tropes.
Kind of, yeah, but they're not. You don't spend much time with them. Like they're not supposed to be that fleshed out, and. Like, I don't know, man. David Ayer's from South Central Los Angeles. Like, he grew up in the hood. That's why all the shit he writes about is kind of that flavor. So, I mean, but it seems like he did the same thing that they did with the cops. They gave him a loose script, and they let the actors
they let 'em
kind of
play with it.
improvise. Yeah. Well, the actors playing the antagonists, they're not of the caliber, I think, that the leads are. So it's a lot of the same slang repeated over and over again. It's a lot of, but to be honest, like, that's kind of how a lot of these people talk. Like, a lot of gang members, you see interviews with them, you see them on the true crime shows and shit. I don't think it's that far of a cry from reality, but some people did. They are a little goofy. Like, I don't know that I don't know how true to life it is. I don't know if it'll bother you. I don't know if it'll make you laugh when you watch it, is what I'm getting at. Like, it might break the spell and be too goofy for you.
Okay.
But they are pretty horrible. Like, they're pretty cold-blooded and they're pretty nasty people. So,
I mean, that's what you need for a villain.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only weak spot, though. And I mean, they're only in like 4 scenes where they're not firing guns. So, like, I don't know. That's my only warning. But like, it's a small one. It's a small one.
Okay.
And I kind of think, like, the characterization of those characters, the way they play it, it makes you think of them as people who have no conception of the world beyond their neighborhood, like,
right,
beyond what they've seen and experienced firsthand. And it really drives that home without having to spend a lot of screen time with them. But no, it doesn't flesh them out. It doesn't show their families, really, or anything like that. It doesn't make them people, I guess.
Or like, you don't get to sympathize with them at all.
I kind of get the feeling that they don't have families, like any of these characters. Like, it's a guy who's involved in human trafficking and drug running, who calls himself Big Evil.
Big Evil?
Big Evil. There's this great scene too. I'm going to ruin it for you.
Evil.
I'm going to ruin it for you. Like, Jake Gyllenhaal's standing there, and he asks me, he's like, "Big Evil, why do they call you that?" And he's like, "Because my evil is big." And Gyllenhaal goes like, "All right, whatever."
Big Evil?
Because my evil is big, man. I thought it was it's pretty funny.
That's so goofy, though.
Yeah, well, I've seen
Evil.
goofier street names, man.
You what?
I've seen goofier street names. Who knows how people get names?
Have you ever, like, come across a goofy, like, gang street name when you were working the police beat?
No. They weren't. Street names here, like, I primarily did that in Trenton and around here in South Jersey. South Jersey didn't have enough gang activity for that to be a thing. Sometimes you'll get like an alias in there and it'll be like Mookie, whatever the fuck. I don't know.
Called
But it's
him
usually like
Day-Day.
Yeah, it ain't never anything it's like usually like a name. Like, it's never that Big Evil. Like, that's some
Evil.
That's some comic book shit, dog. Like, and it's not even in Spanish either. Like, they say it in English. He says it in English. It's fucking weird.
Yeah,
That's the only weird spot.
If they said it
and
in
it's
Spanish,
fucked up
it would
because,
have been better.
like, David Ayer can write good bad guys. I mean, look at Training Day. Look at that Latino gang.
Oh, those guys are creepy.
Man, I love those scenes though.
Never had your shit pushed in.
Dude, Smiley with that fucking power mustache that he's got.
Oh God,
that's just an incredible. That whole sequence, man, and Ethan Hawke too in that. Like,
he was
that
great.
dude. I love Ethan Hawke. I don't give a shit. I'll watch anything he's in. I'll give it a chance. He's in a lot of goofy shit, but I'll give anything a chance that he's in, dude. He's for real. And he was just he earned every accolade he got for that. That's just a great movie. Everyone kicks ass in that movie. Everybody.
Well, yeah. I mean, we know he
That's
can
my
write
case.
a good crime caper involving cops. Okay, so like here's a question. You make a compelling case. I'm interested because a couple of things, like I've come around, like we said earlier, on Jake Gyllenhaal. Like I said, I was like, Jake Gyllenhaal, I don't like him. And then if you asked me why, I don't know if I could point to one good discernible reason that I didn't. Because then I started watching some of his movies, and it was like, oh God, like run it down. Like
Jarhead.
I never saw Jarhead.
That's the one that changed my mind about him.
I never
was
saw
when I
Jarhead. I saw Prisoners.
Oh, with Wolverine.
Yeah.
With Hugh Jackman and Paul Dano, right?
Yeah, Paul Dano.
Paul Dano's in that.
What a fucking creep.
Excellent movie. It's hard to watch, like super. I'm sure it's even harder for you as a father.
Well, I saw that before I had kids. I mean, I'm
good.
sure. Yeah, I'm a little nervous to watch it now, if I'm being honest. But yeah, that movie's great. That's Denis Villeneuve. I saw him.
Nightcrawler.
I saw Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler.
Right,
was
we talked about this.
excellent.
That was cool. It's one of my. That's in my top 20 list these days.
He was.
I really
great
like that movie.
In that movie, mesmerizing.
Yeah.
I saw him in Enemy.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that.
Bit art house, like it very weird ending, but he was good.
You want a weird?
What?
You want a weird one? Have you ever come across
Sure.
Velvet Buzzsaw? He
I've
was in a
not
movie
seen
called Velvet Buzzsaw. Check that out. Find that somewhere. It might be on the secret server. He plays an art critic. He plays a bisexual art critic. And Rene Russo's in it, and it is a horror movie.
Oh
Like
boy!
when you get down to it, it ends up being a horror movie. But the supporting cast, like I think Tilda Swinton. No, not Tilda Swinton. Stand by.
Matilda Swinton.
Yeah, that's no. Velvet Buzzsaw. Yeah, that was 2019. It's Gyllenhaal, Rene Russo, Toni Collette. That's who I was thinking of. Toni Collette. And Natalie Dyer from Stranger Things. And also Malkovich has a small role in that as an artist.
John Malkovich. He's so
But
great.
it's a weird off-kilter movie, and he gives a very different performance. I'll just say that. Like
different.
It's on like he's done a really good job of not letting himself get typecast in his career. He's really tried to do different things in bursts. Like he even did a MCU movie. He does a mainstream movie every once in a while, but then he does like weird art house shit that you don't hear about until later. He did a great sci-fi movie called Life. I don't know, not many people saw that. With that was really good.
I have not seen
Life. It was really good.
But like one of the ones that I saw that he was in that I loved, and like I didn't watch it because I knew he was in it. I kind of put it on knowing what it was about, and then I was like, oh yeah, he's in this. I watched Zodiac.
Yeah. Zodiac was great.
And
Zodiac was great.
I remember watching that going like, this movie's long. This is longer than I thought. That's like a 3-hour movie, but man, it holds up. That's a great flick. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I think I like Jake Gyllenhaal. And
yeah, it's weird, right?
I don't know why I had to be convinced in my own head that I actually like the guy, but for some reason, when I was like, I think I like Jake Gyllenhaal, I think it was then that I realized, I was like, why did I hate him before?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Can't answer
Hey,
that.
man, whatever. There's another one you should check out, too. And another one I think a lot of people haven't seen. It's called Source Code. from 2011.
I have not seen Source Code.
It's a cool Groundhog Day type of thing, but sci-fi more, and it's like an action thing. It's neat. It's neat, and there's a cool twist at the end. And we have to mention Southpaw and Everest.
Oh, Southpaw was great.
They were
Everest
both
was
great
cool.
movies.
I liked
They're
Everest.
both great movies. And then, and yeah, you know, wild career. I didn't really like that movie Ambulance that he did. He kind of played a bad guy in that, and he tried something different. I don't know. Maybe I should see it again. But he did a military film called The Covenant last year.
I heard
it was
about
released.
that.
I went into that super skeptical because I've seen a lot of GWAT movies and Navy SEAL movies and whatever, and they've gotten real old at this point. And this one was really different. Like, the movie itself was well structured and has an actual plot and message. And Gyllenhaal's a fucking badass. Like, he really pulled it off. Yeah, that's still floating around, I think, on the streaming sites. You should check that out. And I guess I'll see it. He's got that Roadhouse remake coming up this year.
Roadhouse, you know.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
In the back of my mind, I think I know deep down in my bones that movie can't be good. But
Right, same.
I'm gonna watch it because I have to know. I have to know if he pulls off Dalton.
Isn't Conor McGregor playing the Sam Elliott character?
No, I think Conor McGregor's playing the bad
Is he the
guy.
bad guy?
The
Oh,
guy,
all right,
he's
that's better.
basically replacing the one that's like, I used to fuck guys like you in prison.
Yeah.
That's Conor McGregor.
I think I saw the trailer. Yeah, I saw the trailer, and I didn't pay a lot of attention to it, but I kind of got confused. I thought there was a scene where it seemed like he was in a mentorship kind of role, and I'm like, please no, don't let this not actor replace Sam Elliott. But they could just get Sam Elliott back.
Yeah, man, he's still kicking. He still has the mustache.
Shit.
Pain don't hurt.
Pain don't hurt. That fucking doctor with those giant glasses.
Yeah.
That shit was funny.
So,
I'm trying to look back. Oh, Day After Tomorrow.
Oh, I saw
Did you
that.
realize he was very young when he was in that,
young
but he was in
Gyllenhaal.
that. Yeah, he was really good in that. And Highway, he had a small part in that. That was right after
didn't
Donnie
see
Darko.
Highway. Yeah,
He was.
I don't know where the hate came from. I really don't.
Maybe you saw that Bubble Boy movie he made. He was a Bubble Boy.
I did not
Maybe
see
that was
Bubble
it.
Boy. Here's a question.
You know,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I have to backtrack something. I said that I thought he went through a phase where he was in a bunch of chick flicks and stuff. Chick flicks, we're not supposed to say that anymore, I guess. Rom-coms. And, like, I'm only seeing a couple on here. I think I just had a bad just perception of him.
Yeah, maybe that was my problem.
Yeah, you said, yeah, we had the same thing going on. What the fuck was it? Why did we hate him so much?
I
It's
don't
his
know.
fucking face, maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe until he got a little older, he had that fucking face that you just wanted to.
I mean, he still looks and sounds like a 20-year-old.
Yeah, that fucking bastard. He's taking the Tom Cruise juice,
He's like
whatever it
ageless.
is. Yeah, now he got all ripped the fuck up for this Roadhouse remake.
Oh yeah, he's shredded.
Because he's supposed to be a former MMA fighter, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a weigh-in scene and shit. Yeah, he's all torn up. But he was ripped up for Southpaw, too.
Yeah, he got cut for Southpaw.
But still, that's 9 years ago already. So the fact that he can do that again, give him credit, man. Give him a lot of credit, you know?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Michael Peña. I've only ever seen him be a complete goofball.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't
Okay.
seen a lot of Michael Peña. I've seen him in like the Ant-Man movies, you know.
Oh, that's right. I forgot he did them. That's
Yeah.
right. He was the comic relief
I'm
in
an
those.
assistant. Oh, I'm an assistant.
Yeah.
I'm an assistant. Yeah, that's my experience with Michael Peña. I saw him. He was in Oh, it was a garbage like comedy action movie. God, 30 Minutes or Less. Did you ever see that?
Is that the one with Eisenberg,
Yeah, he's a pizza delivery
Jesse
guy.
Eisenberg, and Danny McBride?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I think like
yeah, and Swartzen, Nick
Nick
Swartzen was in that.
Swartzen, Dan-
Swartzen.
Danny McBride and Nick Swartzen, I think like owe money to Michael Peña in that movie, and that's why they're trying to
Oh, really?
do the thing. Yeah.
Okay.
And like Michael, he plays like this like really ridiculous, like Hispanic gang member who's
Yeah.
trying to squeeze them for money. And like, he's completely he's a total cartoon character. That's what I'm used to seeing with Michael Peña, and that's fine. But like, I mean, so I saw him cast as like a what appeared to be like a hard-boiled L.A. cop, a street cop, and it's like I don't see it, because
He's
of all the
another
stuff I've
one
seen
who.
him in.
Well, he's another one that, like, yeah, if you catch stuff he's been in sporadically, you can get a really false representation of his career because his filmography is crazy. Like, he's in like 5 movies a year at least
Jesus.
in parts of varying sizes, right? Like, not to be a dick, but Hollywood is like this, and he's been the Hispanic guy for a lot of his career, for better or worse, whatever it says about movies, but he's had a lot of great parts all in between that shit too. Like Fury, he was very serious in, right? He was in The Martian,
Who was he in The Martian?
he was one of the other astronauts.
I don't remember
who
him. Saw that
who
movie.
leaves Matt Damon behind.
What a dick.
Yeah, he was he's just the other. He's actually the astronaut who breaks his balls all the time, who makes fun of him saying botany's not real science.
Oh my God, that is him.
Yeah, that's him.
That's-
And the other thing
I
too is
remember that bit.
he gains and loses enough weight for different roles so that he looks completely different. Like when he's supposed to be playing like nerdier roles, he will put on weight. And then like he was in that movie Chips, another buddy cop movie with Dax Shepard.
Is he the Eric Estrada?
Exactly. Yes, he's a Paunch. Is it Paunch?
I guess.
I don't know. I never watched that fucking show.
Oh yeah, me neither.
That was before our time.
Yeah.
It was well before our time, right? That's funny. He was actually. You said he was in 30 Minutes or Less. I'm pretty sure he was on Eastbound and Down, that Danny McBride HBO show. They must be buds.
I
It's probably
guess.
some fucking parties right there. Yeah, like he's played firefighters, he's played SEALs, he's played cops, he's played gay authors. Like
What gay author did he play?
he's had a hell of a career. I think in that Lions for Lambs movie, I'm pretty sure I might be getting something mixed
I'm
up,
not
his
familiar
parts
with that
mixed
at
up.
all.
He was even on The Shield back in the day.
Oh, man. I remember everyone loved that show, and like I just never watched it.
I watched it well after it was off the air. Like I did the same thing I did with Breaking Bad. I didn't watch Breaking Bad until like years after the finale aired. It was just too popular. I couldn't get on board. I had to let it die down a little bit. Speaking of Peña, he was in a movie called Tower Heist with Ben Stiller. Definitely check that one out if you want a fucking wry comedy.
I remember it's all in the title. Like right, they're just trying to rob a tower.
They're trying to steal a car from a penthouse in a tower.
Yeah, and
So yeah,
honestly, man, like I heard that title and I heard that little plot synopsis. I was like, that can't be good. And you're saying it is.
well, yeah, like it's kind of a mid-dark comedy, and Eddie Murphy's pretty funny in it.
Eddie
And Peña's
Murphy?
pretty funny in it. Yeah, Eddie Murphy's in it. Eddie Murphy, Ben Stiller, Alan Arkin plays the rich asshole. Yeah, oh yeah, man. You got to know about that tower heist, dog.
All right. So Michael Peña, he pulls it off.
Absolutely. Like I said, they let him be funny enough by letting his character be a little sarcastic, but it's not too much at all.
Okay.
It's not too much at all. So, yeah, I mean, if that's a concern, don't worry about it, man. You'll like him.
It's not a concern. It's just like I just found it surprising because like all I've ever seen him be is a goofball. You know, just I'm in Sesame, like that type of role, just straight comic relief.
I mean, he's played a cop a couple times. He played either an FBI agent or an ATF agent in The Mule, that Clint Eastwood movie that he did not too long ago, like I think 2018, 2019, something like that. He was really good in that. And that's a similar movie. 12 Strong was that Navy SEAL movie with Thor.
Oh, Chris
You
Chris
probably never
Hemsworth?
saw that with Chris Hemsworth. Yeah,
So
he played as a SEAL in that.
Thor and the guy from Ant-Man.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. He played that dead serious. So I mean, he had precedent before this. He can pull it off. He can pull it off. Oh, that's right. I'm looking at his filmography right now. He was in he played a priest in a movie called The Vatican Tapes, which was like a horror flick.
God, he's done everything.
Surprisingly watchable. That's what I'm saying, man. Every movie he's done has been a different kind of character. You just happen to see his goofiest ones.
I mean, you said it earlier. Michael Peña's got range.
Yeah, dude. He was in Gangster Squad. That it was a regrettable
Josh Brolin.
Yes, that Prohibition era set kind of fucking, what is it, Untouchables knockoff kind of thing.
Yeah, I thought that looked
Everybody
cool
was in that.
until I saw the trailer and I was like, nah, it's not going to be good.
Fucking everybody was in that. The Gosling, and it still came out shitty.
The Gosling.
Yeah, the Gosling. I thought I hated him too, and then I saw the new Blade Runner. Blade Runner sequel. He was pretty good in that.
I love Ryan Gosling.
Drive. I like Drive.
Yo,
I liked him in that.
Drive was dope.
That's a badass movie.
That movie's great. He makes a man swallow a bullet. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I always forget that Bradley Cooper's in that. And that he's
in Drive?
right. Isn't he in Drive? Isn't he the cop?
No, you're thinking of The Place Beyond the Pines.
Am I? Oh, right. That's where he
are.
dies. Gosling dies toward the beginning, and like the second half is about
Yeah, Drive is about he's a getaway driver.
right
And-
with that cool jacket.
Yeah, and A Place Beyond the
Yeah, yeah.
Pines, he's actually like a bank robber. And
Oh, right.
on a
Yeah,
dirt
he's
bike.
kind of a shitbag.
Yeah.
Right, with the backpack and everything. Right.
And,
Okay.
And Bradley Cooper is a cop who winds up getting called to the scene of one of his robberies, and fucking some shit goes
Right.
down.
Oh, Bryan Cranston is in Drive, right?
Yes, he is.
Okay. All right. I got him straight in my head now. That means I have to rewatch both of those movies.
Yeah, and you know
Excellent.
what? I would say the same thing, but I know it will never happen.
I hear you.
I gotta
Here, we
watch.
gotta take you away.
I gotta watch End of Watch.
And to watch.
And to watch. That's why we're here. Listen, it sounds cool, and
Yeah.
Dave, after careful consideration, I have decided to take End of Watch and push it to the front of the queue, ahead of all the other stuff I'm supposed to watch, because, I mean, like, I'll say this, like, it just, of all the things I have to watch, there's like classic movies on there. They're like, you've never seen that? This is absolutely required viewing. And then there's like some really crazy setups that you've recommended, like, oh man, this is the craziest version of this I've ever seen. And like End of Watch, when you describe it, it's like it's a cop movie with Jake Gyllenhaal. And like you said it in the beginning, it flies under the radar. And I think, like, up to now, it's flown under my radar. But you're saying, if I'm not mistaken, yo, it's more than that. It's a really good movie. You're gonna love it. So, for that reason, I'm gonna put it to the front of the docket.
Outstanding. And I'll leave you with this too. Going back to the realism of it, like you see, you get camera angles you don't usually get in a feature film in this. It feels a little bit like an older movie. It feels more like an indie movie from the 90s, but none of the weird camera angles or any of that detracts from telling the story. And in fact, it enhances it. Like you see so much of the interior of the squad car, for example. Like you see the drink holders that they added to the door where they put their Red Bulls, right?
They added their own drink holders.
You can tell from the fucking steering wheel that it's a Crown Vic.
Right.
Like it's got that fucking Ford steering wheel.
Yep.
That, like it's you can smell the goddamn squad car on the inside. Like Gyllenhaal, he has a lipper in the whole fucking time, because he was a fucking Marine and he's a cop. Of course he's going to dip, right? Well, fucking V doesn't. You know why? He's got a wife. No woman likes a dude who dips. I'm sorry, what they tell you is a lie. It's grotesque and disgusting. And spitters are also disgusting. Fuck all of you. I used to do it too. It's gross. But yeah, man, it's a different kind of cop movie. And I get, like, people who like cop movies aren't going to probably wouldn't like this. There's no one-liners. There's no karate fights. There's no, like, it's the polar opposite of, say, Lethal Weapon and Rush Hour.
From what you're describing, though, like, it sounds like it's the ultimate cop movie. And those
in a way, yeah.
Those other ones,
like
they're not cop movies, they're action movies.
I'll tell you this, if you get invested in this, like if you watch it and you're really into it and focused, you might get a little choked up at the end.
Oh, see,
I'm telling you.
I mentioned that this pitch was coming to my wife, and the first thing she said was like, "Oh, end of watch. I saw that. It's so sad." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
When we have your reaction video, I mean your reaction podcast to this after you've seen it, we can talk about the ending because it was supposed to be even sadder.
What?
David Ayer wanted it to be even sadder, and they toned it down when they didn't even. I don't even think they filmed the original version. Like they were just like, "Nah, this is too fucking sad. We can't do this to people."
All right, I'll bear that in mind. That sounds dank.
And also, as you're watching it, I want you to pay attention to the house fire scene for me.
House fire.
And let me know what you think of that.
Okay, the house fire.
Okay.
And remember that the ending could have been worse.
Yeah, and take it easy on the bad guys.
Just forgive them.
Forgive them some.
Okay.
They're just lowly street criminals trying to get by.
Well,
have you seen Harsh Times yet?
Yeah, I saw Harsh Times.
You've seen that, right?
You and I
okay,
watched that
good,
together.
Good. Did we?
Yeah.
That must have been a while ago.
You told me about how great it was, and oh man, it was years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. We watched.
That was when I was really into Christian Bale.
Yeah.
As an actor.
We all go through that phase, Dave.
Yeah, it's hard not to. He's just so wonderful.
That was a good movie.
It was a good movie. Again, real sad ending. Super, super sad.
Yeah, that didn't go well. All right,
cool.
End of watch. Yep,
it's end of watch.
It's going straight to the top of the docket.
Nice. Cool, and you'll make your wife happy.
Yep.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, I mean, it's
rock and roll.
I'm sorry, like I know that this is the laundry list, but that might be a bit of a misnomer. This is gonna wind up being like date night. Like we actually have something planned that we're gonna watch instead of just staring at the TV saying like, "What are we watching?" You know what?
You would not be the first person that got some nookie because of Jake Gyllenhaal.
Just I didn't say anything about
let it
nookie.
Go. Hell, I'm rooting for you, bro.
God, I hope she never listens to this.
She will someday. We'll bury it. It'll be weeks later. It's fine. You'll be fine. Don't worry. Good night, everyone.
Good night.